Most people fear death, run from it, push it away, but near-death experiencers carry a different truth. They've seen what awaits on the other side, and sometimes on the quiet days, in the soft hours between dusk and sleep, they feel it reaching for them, not with menace, but with the tenderness that aches, a pull, a gravity, a memory of warmth that doesn't belong to this world. Tonight, we explore a phenomenon experiencers rarely talk about out loud, the longing for light and the gentle, terrifying moment when the other side seems to call them back. I'm Candy, and this is Half Haunted Chronicles. You would think that seeing the afterlife would make people cling harder to life, but for many experiencers, the opposite is true. They don't want to die, they're not depressed, they're not hopeless, but they feel something the rest of us don't. The memory of peace, the memory of belonging, the memory of a love so complete that nothing on earth compares. And once you felt that, once you've merged with it, life feels different. Not wrong, not empty, just quieter than the place you've been. Experiencers describe the pull in many ways, as if someone is calling my name, like a tide inside me rising, a warmth I can almost step into, a whisper saying, "Come home." Tonight, we follow 4 experiencers who felt the pull of the other side and learned how to live with it. Here are some of those stories. When death calls gently, quietly, and without malice. The woman who saw the light in her sleep. A woman named Jessa had a blissful NDE at 21. Years later, she began dreaming of a light again. Not symbolically, not metaphorically. The same light, the same presence, the same warmth she felt when she was clinically dead. In the dreams, she would walk toward it, slowly, peacefully. But every time she reached the edge, someone she loved would appear behind her and say, "Not yet." One night, her late grandmother appeared beside the light and whispered, "You can visit, but you can't stay." Jessa said she woke with tears she didn't feel, but somehow remembered. The man who felt his soul leaning east. A widower named Mark had an NDE after a stroke. 4 months afterward, he felt a strange pull whenever he stood facing east, a warmth spreading through his chest, a quiet whisper of comfort that felt like someone calling him. He mentioned it to a researcher who asked, "What direction was the light in your NDE?" Mark paused. He hadn't thought about that. "It was to my right," he said, "the whole time." And during the event, he had been lying on the stretcher facing north. The light had been to the east. Every time he faced that, he felt the afterlife like a tide. The child who kept forgetting where they were. A 7-year-old named Harper nearly drowned in a pool. Her NDE was peaceful, filled with colors, shapes she couldn't describe. After recovering, she could sometimes stand still in the middle of a room and whisper, "I miss it." When her mother asked, "What do you miss, honey?" Harper said, "The place where I didn't have a body." She wasn't suicidal. She wasn't sad. She was homesick for a world her young brain wasn't built to hold. Her mother said, "It was like watching a child remember a past life that wasn't past." The man who heard his name in the rain, a firefighter named Sol, had a traumatic near-death experience after falling from a burning roof. He rarely spoke about the experience, but he did speak about the pool. Whenever it rained lightly, he heard his name whispered in the sound, soft, distant, familiar, not like a hallucination, not like trauma, like someone who loved him speaking through the world. He didn't want to die. He didn't seek the other side, but he said, "The dead don't forget us when we come back, and sometimes they call." Here are 3 creepy facts to haunt your day. Some NDE survivors report the pool the strongest at dusk or during storms, specific environmental triggers that match the conditions of their original death. Researchers note these patterns occur even when the experiencer has no memory of the sensory details of their resuscitation. A number of returnees describe hearing their name called in dreams or in the white noise of rain, wind, or fans, always in the same voice they heard during their NDE. These calls stop instantly the moment they fully wake up. Children who have peaceful NDEs often cry when describing the place without a body, even years later, despite not understanding why, suggesting an emotional memory deeper than their age should allow. Is one of the most delicate episodes I've ever told, because the pull of the other side isn't about wanting to die. It's about remembering something more beautiful than this world can offer. It's about longing without sadness, missing without despair. It's about feeling that whatever waits for us is not a place of fear, but a place of belonging. Near-death experiencers don't crave death. They crave the peace they felt when they left their bodies. They crave the clarity, the connection, the overwhelming love that wrapped around them like a second skin. And learning to live with that craving, that memory, that pull is one of the hardest parts of coming back. But here's the truth. Experiencers tell us you can long for the other side and still choose this one. You can feel the pull and still plant your feet. You can remember the light and walk in this world with purpose. Because if the other side is home, this one is where the work gets done. Tonight, we explored the quiet ache of returning to life after touching the other side, the longing that hums in the bones of those who stepped into the light and stepped back out again. This concludes season 3 of our journey into the after effects of near-death experiences. But next season, we go deeper still into prophecy, into shared visions, into ancestral contact, into strange and looping ways the future and the past touch experiencers long after they return. Until then, stay curious and always, always stay haunted.